Today we're talking about free solutions that all businesses should be doing to increase their security.
At M2 Technology, we're on a mission to make IT accessible to everyone. Join us on our journey to demystify the ever-evolving world of business technology. Are you ready to get unplugged?
Welcome back to IT Unplugged. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Mike.
And let's really dig into some of the free options that businesses can use right now to protect themselves. So, one of the things I always hear, at least, is talks about passwords. So, what are some of the things that a company can do to just kind of shore up their passwords?
Bare minimum, password complexity, length, increase your length, use something that's not just a standard term. For instance, you're Brandon, you're hired in May of 2023. So, would a good password for you be May 2023? Like, probably not so much, right? So at a bare minimum, at least that. Maybe spice it up, use a capital or maybe not a capital where there would normally be a capital. Mm-hmm. Change a special character, some numbers, maybe an underscores mix in there or a pound sign, something like that.
So now, Mike, that sounds well and good, but how many people actually do this? Because that's kind of one of those, that might be a big ask for an employee that doesn't really care about security.
Yeah, or you fall into the ploy of, your employer makes you change it every 8 weeks or whatever it is, and you're adding a 1 to the end. So by the end of the year, it's now it's at 12, and you're like, okay, that's great, but it's the same password. It's very important getting somebody on board with it. Perhaps you could enforce that with, if they have a domain environment, you could enforce that with group policy. Okay,
so let's just pause right there for a second. You said, so what is this about domain? Like, I don't know if everybody's going to understand what that is. So what does that mean?
Domain would be when you're at your Control-Alt-Delete screen, you're logging in the morning, and that's what manages that. If you're on just a computer by yourself at your home, you don't have a domain. Maybe you're a really teeny business somewhere, you have one computer, you probably wouldn't have a domain. You have dozens or hundreds or a lot of users or a lot of computers for your users to log into. It would behoove you to have a domain. It'd be beneficial to help deploy things like password management, or you can mass deploy printers and shared drives and permissions and security and a whole slew of things that a domain controller can do. Okay,
so we got into, all right, we can do passwords, right? But then we've kind of transferred over into another realm of deployments and stuff like that. Like, how difficult is it, and what would you use to deploy things like that are going to maybe make it so you have to change your password every couple months?
Yeah, so that would be a group policy or a policy built into group policy. Deployed by or enforced by the domain controller server. Okay.
So is that like one of those things you got to, take a USB stick and run in and plug those into every single computer? Or, how advanced do you have to be for this?
The domain controller would be doing that for you.
Oh, okay.
So you have a new computer, a new hire, something like that. You log in as the user. You log in as Brandon for the first time on the computer. It knows, because you've already built this out on the domain controller side, it knows, Brandon works in marketing. Okay, marketing gets the marketing folder. They also get the general, or shared drive. They get the general shared drive. He's required to change his password every X amount of time, or whatever that policy is.
Sure.
He gets this printer, and he gets the the front desk printer, and all of that just gets pushed to you.
Yeah. Okay. So that kind of can depend. You can modify it and change it just depending on, maybe what kind of access that person has.
Yep.
And how important their password is. Now, I know that I've seen this going on customer visits when it comes to passwords. And that is that they have a very complex password, but they have it on a Post-it note on their computer, or maybe it's like when you're going into like your buddy needs you to go into a house to let out their dog, and it's locked. Like, the first thing you do is check underneath the the mat and there's the key, right? It's like the same thing with passwords. Sometimes you pop open the keyboard and hey, there's 2 post-it notes with all the passwords. Is that something you see, and how important is it to also make sure, like from a physical standpoint, the things around you are not revealing what your password is?
Yes, you see it. I guess less common than it was in the past, but yeah, you still see that quite frequently. And I mean, short of me removing that every chance I get, and then somebody getting angry at me because I'm messing with their stuff, there's not a whole lot you can do about that.
Yeah.
But to your point with the key and the doormat, correct, right? Like that probably still happens, or you have a fake rock somewhere in your landscape that's full of mulch, so there's no other rocks anywhere, and you're like, yeah, that's really sneaky.
Yes. Yeah, I always find it interesting when it comes to IT, that kind of balance between the human behavior and the technical things that you can put into place, right? Like you can put in, you have to change your password every 2 weeks, and it needs to be 100 characters and so many exclamation points. But if that human element just says, oh, okay, well, I'm going to keep this on a Post-it note, like, what are you going to do? Right?
Or you, being a human, you find the more convenient route of achieving that, right? And it's, okay, it can't be your last 3 passwords. Perfect. I'm going to keep it the exact same as the last 3, except add a character at the end. Yeah. Like, okay, well, that's correct. You're defeating the system there, but is that beneficial? Is it not? I mean, it's kind of, yeah.
You won the password game, but you failed, the cybersecurity aspect that it was put in place for. Yeah, that's definitely interesting, in that battle. And I think it really, I think it plays into the fact that cybersecurity and IT needs to be something that's bought into from an entire organization, rather than something that's owned by one person. Because I used to run safety, for safety teams in a retail environment, and we always had a countdown clicker that essentially said how many days free we were from an accident. And that thing, we had one person in charge of safety, right?
I'm laughing at that because I was at a place yesterday that their safety counter was 9,740, and I'm like, have you guys really not had an incident in 40 years?
Yeah,
great, but I don't know if that's the case.
That's a different culture where it's hey, don't tell anybody you had an accident, okay? We don't report anything. But just with that accident counter, and there'd be one person that's responsible, the safety manager, okay? And the thing is if you're the only one counting, or if you're the one that owns everything, nobody's gonna care about safety, right? You have to get the buy-in from everybody. And when the counter got to 100, we got a pizza party or something. Yeah, you can do some kind of little incentive or something like that. But I mean, with cybersecurity, if somebody gets into something, it can take the entire company down. So hopefully you can build that culture within there where people take it a little bit more seriously, but it can be difficult to do. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So with that being said, I hear a lot about 2-factor authentication, or I don't know what it's called anymore, multi-factor, 2-factor. Is that something that companies should be looking to do, and is there free options for it?
To a point. So 2FA, right, 2-factor authentication, is a different phrasing of MFA, multi-factor authentication. It seems like the industry lately has been referring to that topic as MFA. So MFA that we like to use is called Duo, and Duo is a Cisco product. It falls into the Cisco family. We like it a lot because you can directly integrate it with a domain.
Okay.
So your domain login, your Control-Alt-Delete screen login would send a prompt for MFA to your Duo app, to your employee's phone, or to your employee's desk phone as a phone call, or whatever means. Maybe you have a hardware token or something. Maybe they don't want to put it on their phone. But it's very convenient because their push, as Duo calls it, goes to your app. Just like you would get a text message, it pops up on your screen. Hey, is this you logging in? So really easily you can say yes. I'm sitting here in front of my computer logging in. Correct, this is me.
Yeah.
Or if you're sitting at home on your couch at 11:30 p.m. on a Saturday and you're not at work because you shouldn't be working at 11:30 p.m. on a Saturday, and you get a log in, obviously that's not you. So I doubt that it's the cleaning crew, because they're probably not cleaning also, and they don't care about, Jill's reports on her desk.
Sure.
It's probably somebody somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's very convenient.
Yeah. I mean, I personally like that. I mean, we always Duo, right? And
Yep.
we use it with other clients. And the thing that I like about it is that push is like a yes or a no. There's nothing, at least for me, there's that human element, right? Of like looking at my text message and going 453-271, and then pulling up the app and going back and forth and being like, oh no, I got it wrong. Send me another one.
It's
or
about
whatever.
as easy as it can get. I mean, like half the screen is red, half the screen is green, and green is yes and red is no.
Yeah.
There's actions from that, right? You press no, it can lock your account. It notifies us. There's a lot of benefits from that. Nothing is necessarily stopping the person from just blindly saying yes. That's up to the human, though,
Yes.
right? I mean,
Yeah. We got that human element, and then we have the technical element. So you can put so many things in place. But if the human goes, I guess I'll just click this. There's actually a story that I just read about the tactic was to use a multi-factor and to continue to send it just nonstop to annoy the person. It's like a war of attrition. Can I send this? Can I send this push 100 times, and will they eventually say yes? Because they're like, I just want to watch TV at night. Please stop buzzing my phone.
Yeah. The way that we combat that with our deployments of Duo is we put in place a brute force type countermeasure. So if you have 3 denied responses, so the person says no 3 times or it's completely ignored 3 times, their account's just locked.
Okay.
So you can raise that, lower that, take it away, whatever. But
Yeah.
3 to 5 is typically what people like. I mean, if you're trying to get in the morning, it's very unlikely that, unless you don't have your phone or something, it's very unlikely that you would ignore or deny yourself 3 times. But maybe you do. Somebody doesn't understand what it is, and then like they're new to the company or something.
Or just a really bad Monday where you start logging in and you're just like, do I want to start working?
Packers
No.
lost. My
No.
truck won't run. My dog's sick. I'm not a big country fan though, but that's kind of nice to have as peace of mind.
Yeah.
It just auto locks the account.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's such a huge thing, and it's pretty affordable too. There are some free options out there. Like, why would a business maybe not use a free option? Like, Google has stuff out there, Microsoft has stuff. There's a ton of MFAs out there. So why would somebody not use an option that's free if you're a business owner?
The point of having a paid feature, or the point of having like Duo in this case, would be so that you can directly integrate it with your domain.
Okay.
So you already have a domain environment. You have your logins, you have shared documents and permissions to things and different departments, and everything's built out, and you'd like to integrate multi-factor into that, and Duo directly integrates with that.
Okay.
They have tie-ins for, depending on the type of networking infrastructure you have, they have tie-ins for many different routers and firewall appliances and VPNs. So the same exact multi-factor you have at your desktop level, you'd have on your VPN. So you're at home working from home for the day, you're sick, you're still tapping in. Before you're able to connect to the VPN, it sends the same ping to your phone, and you're like,
Gotcha.
Yep, this is me. So where that would be beneficial is you leave your laptop at Starbucks, you leave, right? You're done for the day, but then you forgot it there. And there's one little piece of mind that's like, well, at least somebody's not gonna be able to connect to my VPN if they gain access to the computer, because I still need to hit yes, this is me. Yeah.
Just another layer and another level is always good, So now I know this isn't a free tool or anything, but you've mentioned a domain a couple of times. I'm just kind of curious because I don't actually know, how easy is it to maybe we have some smaller companies that are listening and they're like, wow, I don't have a domain, but I got 6-7 people here, and it seems like something that I might want to implement, because I'd like 2-factor authentication, I'd like password updates. How hard is it to set up something like that, and what does it really involve?
A domain as a whole would require a server, depending on the size of the company. You may have more than one, but would require a server at a bare minimum, the server of which would be a domain controller. If you're really teeny, right? Let's say you have 6 places or 6 workstations, maybe less than a dozen. Perhaps all you need is one server that does both roles. It's a domain controller and it stores your files.
Okay.
You have a large data set. Maybe you have 2 servers. Maybe you have a server that does domain controller and then you have a separate app or a separate file server. But that would be required. A domain controller would be required to build out a domain.
Yeah, absolutely. I just know a lot of companies, at least that, I mean, we both talk to, but when I go in, they might be starting from, like scratch, right? And they just don't really know. They're like, I don't know what I don't know. What's the next step for me to take? So sometimes it's, hey, I need to train my employees. And then sometimes it might be, all right, I need to, set up a domain or get a server or something like that. So awesome. Great insights. When it comes to other free tools, we kind of look through password, maybe managers or multi-factor authentication. Is there anything that a company could be doing when it comes to like updates that would protect them essentially a little bit better?
Yeah, absolutely. So at a bare minimum level, doing updates, that's always great. If you have a domain, right, we can enforce that policy through the domain controller. We can also enforce it through a slew of other tools, industry tools, that don't give the end user option to deny updates, or it doesn't put the control in their court. The updates just happen in the backside or in the back end. But if they don't have that, you could always build out the update process or the policies for it through the domain controller.
Gotcha. So with that being said, kind of those updates and different things. I mean, all right, I'm guilty of this. I've had a IT team come in before and be like, you haven't updated your computer. I'm going, I close it every single night. What are you talking about? Like, I just shut it. What the heck do you have to do to update a computer sometimes?
If you have pending updates and you just close it, right, it's the end of the day, you're done. You shut your laptop, put it in your backpack, and you go home. Trying at the bare minimum a restart, a full-on restart. Then it gives it the opportunity to complete whatever it's pending. And then, I mean, a restart's never necessarily a bad thing either. So it's always good.
Okay, so we should be restarting our computers every once in a while. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, I thought you just let them go until they die.
I see your uptime. It's impressive.
Okay, awesome. So, with those updates and different things like that, I think once again we're talking about that human factor of getting people to understand, hey, this is beneficial for you to do for yourself, for the company, and having them do it. But then we also have that other option, right, where maybe an IT provider comes in and we push those updates to them automatically.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and that might be a little bit more, I'd say, foolproof. Would you kind of agree with that versus letting someone else do it?
Yeah. It goes back to the same point of peace of mind, right? Then you're sitting in your chair, you're doing, your office work. You always do your updates, every Thursday you restart your computer, whatever it is, but you have no idea what Becky does. You're like, I don't know, I hope she's doing her updates. Like, she says she does, but to your point, right? Well, she thinks she is, but she just shuts her laptop at the end of the day and she goes home.
Yeah.
So maybe that would, provide some peace of mind, or it's for sure going to provide peace of mind knowing that we don't have to worry about it because it just automatically happens in the backside, and someone, meaning employee, doesn't have the option of forgetting to do that or denying it because it just happens.
Yeah. And what I personally love about this too is we talk to a lot of business owners, I feel like, that have a lot on their plate, and some of them are doing all of the IT for their companies, or they have somebody else that's in a role that's always surprising to me, that's doing all the updates for their company. Maybe not software updates, but they're doing all the IT stuff. And they have, like,
or they think they are.
Or they think they absolutely. Yeah. And they're doing all these things and they're worrying about it. Like, we are in a time now where we can optimize and be efficient when it comes to these things, like standardize, whether it's password changes, whether it's software updates. Like, we can build it in and you can take that stuff off your plate, so you're not playing part-time IT person and you're more so doing the role that you're being paid to do.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. then they can point the finger at us when something doesn't work, and then we've got to go fix it.
Yeah, which is okay, right? Point the finger at us. We'll be happy to fix it. But okay, awesome. Is there any other free tools or anything that you think would be kind of bang for, maybe not even free tools, just bang for your buck, that companies that haven't looked at cybersecurity or IT could do tomorrow that would make an impact for their business?
Maybe it's whole own topic, but at a bare minimum, having some type of endpoint security. You know, if you're running your built-in Windows Defender that's for free, right? That's better than absolutely nothing or having it turned off. Same with, perhaps you have one of the many different types of endpoint security, software. Like that's also great. It's a great line of defense or a great piece to the puzzle there that helps build your wall.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and that's something that we are going to cover a little bit in the future. But for right now, these were some great free options, along with, what you might be able to do when it comes to some, paid options if you want to upgrade that a little bit. So appreciate the insight, Mike. So thanks so much for watching IT Unplugged. We hope you gained some great takeaways today on some free options. Do us a favor, like, subscribe, do all the button things down below.